I, at that point, started having two tangents, which is realizing I need to do something about it. That this disparate information level, that one group has everything, everybody else has nothing. And the other thing is I needed to make the world safer because we're kind of screwed. Because of this over-financialization, all the debt, that we could lose the system at any point. Nothing had gone away. The printing of money was just a way of wallpapering over the cracks that the earthquake had left behind. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? So the idea I had with a bunch of people was to try and set up the world's safest bank. And I tried to go and do that. It was slightly arrogant or stupid, probably, to try to do because it's not easy. And we got together quite an amazing group of people. Still, we tried in Singapore, we tried in Switzerland, we tried in the US, it was just hard to do. The system is not there for you to try and change. And so in that process, a friend of mine, one of my clients, tapped me on the shoulder and said, you should take a look at Bitcoin. This was 2012. And I'd been aware of Bitcoin, and I took a good look at it. And he explained to me both the store of value proposition and the blockchain element, that anything could be trusted on the blockchain. I looked at this and I'm like, oh my God, this is the future that we need. Because the problem we've got is when a firm like Lehman Brothers goes bust, nobody knows who owns what. And somebody's going to get screwed in that equation. Just one of the very issues at the center of the system. Nobody knows who owns anything. So I started looking at that and I started writing articles and invested in it first time in 2013. 2014, I started Real Vision because I wanted to democratize the very best financial information. Nobody gets access for an hour to the world's most famous hedge fund managers unless you've invested $100 million. Real Vision changed that equation entirely and said, listen, forget all this sound bites on CNBC of 3 minutes. It's worthless. We're going to give you an hour of the world's most successful investors, the best independent analysts and strategists, and then you have a level playing field. And that was a game changer. I mean, since Real Vision started in 2014, there's probably been 200 podcasts that's copied that model. So this is this movement. There's two things. There's the democratization of information, and then there's crypto. So crypto, as it starts building out as an ecosystem, you start to realize that, okay, this is now the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded human history. The internet from 1990 to 2000 grew at 63% a year. That was the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded history. Prior to that, mobile phones was the other one. But what happens is the internet technology and the mobile phone technology allows for these networks to be built. And once that network's in place, it's faster to build the next network. So in India, for example, they've just basically given out free data to every mobile phone in India. So guess what? Data usage is the highest in the world. And so their internet scaling becomes faster. So the internet was huge, as we all know, and it remains huge. So at 63% a year, it then flattened out over time as more and more people got adopted. So at 1997, it was growing at 63% a year, and there was 140 million users of the internet. In 2021, there are 140 million crypto users, and it's growing at 113% a year.
Jesus.
Double the speed. Now, this is where humans struggle. Linear numbers and exponential numbers. Because it's exponential, it means that growing at 113% a year, we're going to go from 140 million people to 1 billion people by 2024.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
so
when you go back and how you introduced all of this. So if you know that something is being adopted at this speed and it's a network of money at its core, and you can buy an infinitesimal fraction of it, so everybody can buy 10% of their net worth, then everybody who takes this opportunity will probably have the biggest opportunity in history to make money. That was probably the most viewed piece I've ever done on YouTube. It was like, I don't know, 2 million, 2 or 3 million views, called The Retirement Crisis. And it resonated because I kind of showed how people haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. It's well worth your time. And it's a long time ago. It predicts a lot of what's going on now. And the point being is that there's a bunch of retirees, the baby boomers, and they've kind of screwed it all up because they've got all the debt. They've got too much equity exposure. It's really hard for them to retire. This is why the Federal Reserve don't like equities going down, because you've got this richest group on earth who are kind of stuck. They never got enough money to retire on. But I want to look through the eyes of the millennials. So they are 32 years old. At the same age, their parents at 32, the baby boomers, had all-time cheap valuations of equities, all-time cheap bonds, all-time cheap credit, all-time cheap property, right? So they couldn't help but make money. They kind of screwed it up because they actually ended up going into debt as well. But they couldn't help but make money. So then the millennials had the opposite, all-time record valuations of equities, all-time record valuation for bonds, all-time record credit, all-time record highs in property. So I'm like, these guys are screwed unless something else comes along. And that thing is crypto. Because the future expected return of crypto, it's been growing at 213% a year in returns. That's how much it makes, even though it's very volatile. Sometimes it's down to 70%. Over time, you're making 213% a year. It has grown as an asset. It's gone up. I think it's 2 million% since inception. No other asset in all recorded history has ever done this. And we haven't even started. I still think there's probably another 100x from here. Not even the baby boomers got given that. The S&P didn't go up 100x since 1980. So this is the magnitude of what's there. So I'm screaming from the rooftops saying, you might be cynical. You might think you don't understand it. You might think you can't afford to play in this, but you have to listen, because this is the opportunity. You can't come back to me in 10 years' time and say, well, we missed all of that. All the rich people got richer. No, you, I, everybody else is saying, now is your time. Don't be irresponsible, dollar cost average, do all the right things, but here is your opportunity. This is the biggest opportunity I've ever seen, and I'm going to take advantage of it, and so should everybody else. This is not rich or poor. This is an every person opportunity, and we've never had this before, ever.